There is nothing quite as brutally awkward as watching someone brag about a victory right before they completely trip over their own feet. You know the exact energy I am talking about. It is that hyper-arrogant, incredibly loud person who walks into a room and demands that everyone look at them. They puff their chest out, they speak over everyone else, and they act entirely untouchable. They are so entirely consumed by their own massive ego that they do not realize they have a giant, ridiculous stain on the front of their shirt. The entire room can see it. People are looking at each other, suppressing smiles, feeling massive second-hand embarrassment for this person. But the arrogant person just keeps talking, completely blind to the fact that they are the punchline of a massive joke. I want to speak directly to your spirit today, because this exact, highly humiliating scenario is currently playing out in the life of someone who recently tried to destroy you. They messed up. They completely overplayed their hand. They tried to use you as a stepping stone to boost their own ego, and instead of looking like a genius, they just exposed themselves as the absolute court jester. And right now, everyone behind their back is laughing at them. We need to sit down and have a very raw, highly observant conversation about a psychological disaster I call the Arrogance Blindspot. We are going to decode exactly why toxic people always end up humiliating themselves, and why the universe allowed them to be so incredibly loud right before they crashed. To understand the absolute comedy of errors happening in their life right now, you have to look at the fuel source of a narcissist. A deeply toxic, arrogant person does not have any internal validation. They are entirely hollow inside. Because they are hollow, they desperately need an audience. They cannot just do something quietly. They need applause. When they decided to cross you, they didn't just want to quietly disrespect your boundaries. They wanted to put on a show. They wanted to prove to the mutual friends, the coworkers, or the family members that they held the ultimate power. They wanted to make you look small so they could look massive. So they got incredibly cocky. They ran their mouth. They spun ridiculous, easily disprovable lies about you. They acted like they held all the cards. They basically climbed up to the highest diving board in the building, grabbed a megaphone, yelled at the entire crowd to watch them, and then did a belly flop directly onto concrete. They miscalculated your spiritual weight class. They looked at your quiet, peaceful demeanor and mistook your deep grace for absolute stupidity. They thought, "Oh, the chosen one never fights back. They are soft. I can walk all over them, and they won't do a thing." But what they failed to realize is that when you refuse to fight a battle, you do not forfeit the fight. You simply hand the gloves over to the creator of the universe. And God has an incredibly brilliant, highly specific way of dealing with absolute arrogance. When God wants to vindicate you, He doesn't always send a lightning bolt. Sometimes He just lets the arrogant person keep talking. He lets them dig their hole so incredibly deep that they cannot possibly climb out. He allows their own massive ego to become the exact weapon that dismantles their credibility. Right now, the public gallery is watching this person completely unravel, and the respect is absolutely gone.
I want you to understand what this mockery actually looks like, because it is rarely loud, cinematic laughter. It is much worse than that. It is the quiet, devastating loss of social capital. When this arrogant person walks into a room now, people do not take them seriously. When they try to launch a new smear campaign against you, the listeners just nod slowly, roll their eyes the second the person turns around, and completely ignore what was said. The mutual friends are having private conversations, saying things like, "Did you hear what they just tried to pull?" They look absolutely ridiculous. They are obsessed. Their frantic, bitter energy is making everyone around them deeply uncomfortable. They tried to convince the world that you were the unstable, crazy one. But because you stayed entirely quiet, completely unbothered, and focused on your own healing, the contrast became impossible to ignore. The audience looked at your peaceful, thriving reality, and then looked at the arrogant person sweating, screaming, and desperately trying to keep a one-sided war alive. The math completely solved itself. The arrogant person officially became a liability. The people who used to stroke their ego are now actively backing away, because nobody wants to be associated with someone who is clearly losing their mind in public. They have become the cautionary tale of the entire group. This brings us to a very profound spiritual realization about your own journey.
For a long time, their arrogance probably triggered massive anxiety inside of you. You watched them act untouchable, and it genuinely hurt your feelings. You wondered why bad behavior was being rewarded. You felt like you were screaming underwater, entirely invisible, while they were parading around, getting all the attention. I need you to completely release that heavy frustration today. That waiting period was not a punishment. The universe was simply gathering the audience. You have to understand that a public downfall requires public attention. If they had faced karma in a quiet room, nobody would have learned the lesson, and your name would not have been fully cleared. God let them gather the crowd. He let them get comfortable. He let them think they completely got away with crossing you. And then, He pulled the rug completely out from under them in broad daylight. So, what is your instruction in this specific season of your life? How do you handle the reality that your enemies are currently embarrassing themselves? You execute absolute, premium indifference. You do not buy a ticket to their circus. You do not point and laugh. You do not send them a text message saying, "Look at how foolish you look." If you step down from your throne to mock a clown, you just become part of the comedy act. You must protect the incredible elevation you have achieved. Let the mutual friends talk about it. Let the audience whisper. Let the arrogant person choke on the devastating reality that their own mouth ruined their reputation. Your silence is the heaviest, most intimidating response you could possibly deliver. It shows them that they do not even register on your radar anymore. It proves that their frantic attempts to get your attention are completely useless. You are entirely booked and busy building an empire, while they are bankrupting their social life, trying to figure out how to hurt you. I am really curious about the moment the tables entirely turned for you. Did you recently hear through the grapevine that a toxic person's plan completely backfired, leaving them looking totally foolish? Have you ever watched a deeply arrogant manipulator accidentally expose their own lies in front of an entire room of people. How did it feel to just sit back, keep your hands clean, and watch the universe handle your defense attorney duties? Drop your incredibly validating story in the comments below. We need to document these moments of divine justice to remind someone else that the arrogant never, ever win the long game. Keep your spine perfectly straight. Let them dig their own graves, and enjoy the absolute peace of a cleared name.